meeting that will take place between the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Russian President Vladimir Putin. And we're getting more details over the 2+2 ministerial dialogue that had taken place, where Defense Minister Rajnath Singh has in fact raised the Chinese aggression in Ladakh and the expansionism in the northern borders as an issue as well. For more on this, let me go across to our senior executive editor, Abhishek Kapoor, who's joining us on the broadcast. Abhishek, another major development with respect to these meetings that are taking place with ministers from both Russia and India, where Rajnath Singh has now raised the issue of Chinese aggression in Ladakh as well.
Well, Priyanka, yes. So that's a big breaking development coming in. We're reporting from inside what happened at the 2+2, the first ever ministerial between India and Russia. And that's where Defense Minister Rajnath Singh, while talking about India's challenges in the recent past, talked about how there has been a case of unexplained militarization and expansionism in our northern borders. Of course, the Defense Minister did not name China, but we understand when we talk about northern borders, it happens to be China. And just so that there is no confusion, he said that the militarization and expansionism that has happened post-April 2020, and obviously that's when the standoff in Ladakh began with the Chinese. So I think Indian side really made it clear that what Chinese have done is not good. At the same time, we are up to meeting the challenge which we have done over the last year and a half. And in that context, it feels good to have friends. It feels good to have enduring partnerships like the one we have with Russia, where in terms of our military needs, in terms of our defense needs, Russia has stood by us. So I think it is a clear message to the Chinese that irrespective of their own bilateral relationship with the Russians, Russia is standing rock solid with India, and the defense minister there acknowledging it. The fact that Russians have gone ahead and supplied S-400 to India as well, despite the fact knowing that Pakistan does not have the kind of a strategic depth where you need to use an S-400 missile defense system against them. Obviously, it is aimed at the Chinese, and yet the Russians have gone ahead with it. So at the 2+2, India making it clear that the aggression shown by the Chinese, the militarization shown by the Chinese, the expansionism shown by the Chinese over the last year and a half is not going to go unchallenged. It has been challenged, and India has put its foot down, and it's good to have Russia on our side.
Well, yes, stay on with us, Abhishek, as Major Gaurav Arya also joins us here on the broadcast. Major, as Abhishek was pointing out, that we expected this, that India will be raising the China issue with the Russian delegation as well. But how do you see this particular issue that has been raised by Rajnath Singh with respect to the growing economic and military ties between Russia and China as well?
When Abhishek mentioned that, about an independent foreign policy and in spite of the China factor, the Russians sold us the S-400. Now, the S-400, please understand that this is a strategic asset. This is not a tactical asset, this is a strategic asset. There are far-reaching implications and ramifications of procuring this system. Now, what has happened is that this is also Russia telling China. It is believed generally that Russia is firmly in the China camp, which may not be absolutely true. So this is Russia also signaling to the rest of the world that, listen, we follow an independent foreign policy, irrespective of what China says. If we want to sell S-400 to the Indians, we will do it. This is also the Indians telling the Americans, right? That, while you may threaten sanctions and everything else, India is a sovereign country. You see, this is one of the main, there are many, many differences between India and Pakistan, many, many differences. But one stark difference is that India is actually sovereign. India actually follows an independent foreign policy, unlike Pakistan, which is neither sovereign nor does it follow an independent foreign policy. It follows the policy of whoever gives it money, whoever cut the last check. Now, this entire, this entire set of meetings, this 2+2 that has happened, and we'll have Vladimir Putin also shortly. This entire thing goes on to sort of reiterate that the Indians and the Russians, the old warmth which we lost out in the 90s and in the 2000 onward decade is now coming back slowly and slowly. This is the second visit that Putin has made after the coronavirus hit the world. And the second visit, though it's only 1 day's visit, but it is to India, and that shows how significant Russia thinks India is.
All right, Major Arya, we have Pathikrit Singh joining us. Pathikrit, what do you make out of our defense minister bringing in the China factor? Clearly China is the elephant in the room going with whatever has been going on in the northern borders. And in the context of our summit with the Russians, defense minister mentioning expansionism, militarization and unexplained behavior by the Chinese insofar as their border aggression is concerned.
Well, Abhishek, apart from the fact that there are bilateral talks going on at the military level, between India and China, the issue is that apart from Russia, there is no other country in the world today, forget the West, which has, some kind of a leeway, some kind of a negotiating power with the Chinese. Therefore, what the Indians are also trying to convey to the Russians, that it is important for Russia also to play a role of a mediator and make sure that the Chinese expansionism, it does not go beyond the point, because then it would hurt the Indians, and if it hurts the Indians, then it's surely going to hurt Russians also. I think even if the Russians don't, say it on the face, the Russians also suffer from the same kind of expansionism of China, because the Chinese are trying to infringe in Central Asia, which the Russians have always considered as the strategic backyard. Similarly, if you look at the eastern Russia area where it borders China, there are a large number of assets that the Chinese are buying from the Russians. The Russians simply don't like it, but they have no other option right now simply because of the economic factors, because of the sanctions by the West.